What's up, everybody?
Yeah, good evening.
We got an awesome episode. We know we love it when we can get in-house guests.
Yeah.
And we got some in-house and local farmers here. We're pumped to have Matt and Kelly Griggs join us. Welcome to the show.
I don't know how local we are. The topography really looked a lot different than what I'm used to on the drive down here.
This is true.
Does it really? Is it
A lot of flat ground. Like, I don't know what that's like.
Oh, well, okay.
Y'all are more hilly?
Definitely. A lot more houses, a lot more trees, a lot more hills.
Yeah.
You just go a little further west of here and get to my house and you'll find some
Yeah,
hills.
Bobby Lee's got a farm that, you could definitely turn a sprayer over on.
My niche has been, we bought the marginal ground that nobody wants to row crop. And that's perfect for cows.
That's my specialty too. We farm the ground nobody else wants to farm.
We farm the little patches that nobody wants to farm.
Well,
Yeah.
But see, I'm putting cows on my ground. You're still row cropping it.
Yeah, I'm not a cattle person, most definitely.
No.
Well, before we get in, you want to give a shout out?
Yeah. Of course, want to mention agzaga.com. As always, use that discount code TALKDIRT, all caps, all one word. I checked it today. Still free shipping.
Oh,
We're
man.
going to go ahead and assume Jared is not going to
he's just
not
gonna
going
keep
to
that.
delete the free shipping.
Yeah.
10% off and free shipping, the bailnet wrap, whatever you're needing. Go on there, check them out. You might be surprised what you'll find.
Yeah, sounds good. Y'all check it out. So, you've kind of intrigued me already, though. There's more houses.
More and more every single year. You can't drive down the road one week after the next without seeing somebody laying out a foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's y'all were talking about right across from here, the neighborhood, and that's both of us can remember. Yeah, we used to shoot doves over there, and we farm on the backside of that, and we're actually farming it. And we're losing sections because they're further developing the land. Like it's sold and they're just letting us keep working it.
Well,
Yeah, but it's becoming more and more difficult to get to, I bet.
Yeah,
well,
it will.
The landowner over there now is the big developer, right?
It is. Yeah.
There's like a 400 house project in the works. Is that right?
I
It's
want to
something
say
like
so.
that.
Yeah, they've put
it'll all be houses, in the very near future.
Yeah.
And I even tried to buy it because the bad part was we found out when they sold it cheap. Like, it was actually pretty cheap what they paid for it. And I own the ground that joins it. And so I'm like, crap, now it's going to be houses right up
It's kind
there.
of hill ground. Like, it's not a lot of
Some of it's
prime
not
bottom
very
ground.
productive. Yeah. But
I would still stand my ground and still farm it with all the houses around it.
just keep on.
Just keep on keeping on.
Well, the big problem I see with both development and what we see solar farms and everything else is these developers, they want the farm ground. It's already been cleared off. It's generally pretty flat. It's easy to build on. There's not a lot of money in clearing off and preparing the ground and everything. But that there's a finite supply of farm ground, and once a house is built, it'll never be farm ground again. Where's the breaking point of where we got enough ground to provide for the growing population? At some point there's going to be a breaking point. Where's it at?
Oh, absolutely. Well, we had, one of our good kind of childhood friends that works for Helena now, Justin Payne, on a few months ago.
Yeah.
And he works more across the river in Arkansas. He's like, solar panel farms going up every day, and it's not on marginal ground.
No.
Like it is on prime farm ground. Which I don't know. Have y'all been west on 40 through Arkansas in a while?
I try not to go into Arkansas. Those roads are terrible over there.
They are
Thought
terrible.
I-40 past Memphis was bad. Go past.
Well, there's that huge solar farm project, and it is on the interstate right there, just on the north
Yes,
side.
I saw that the other day.
And it's like, and part of me is like, well, yeah, they're putting it right there on the interstate because, they want the good publicity of, whoever this group is.
Look how green we are.
Yeah. But yeah, it's on prime farmland. We went to Louisiana this past weekend to a horse show. And it's the same way on the side of I-55. There was and it wasn't near as big as that project going on in Arkansas, but it was solar farms right there on the side of the interstate. And the cynical side of me says, yeah, they're putting it right there just because they want the good publicity that comes with it, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not against solar farms. I think we need alternative forms of energy, but you put a solar panel anywhere.
Yeah.
You put them on rooftops.
Exactly.
I mean, put them in the divider down the interstate. I mean, you can put them anywhere.
Yeah.
Why you got to put them on farmland?
Well,
yeah, exactly. Somewhere where you're not taking away from
the best,
highly productive ground.
The best farm that I had last year is 120 acres in one block. I hardly ever find that anymore. But flat, and the beans, they were the best beans I had. And I lost that. I knew it was a 1-year deal, and it's a solar company that they're covering it up with solar panels. I actually drove out in this area. It's out in Millington. I had lost one farm over there like the year before, and then I lost this farm last year, or coming into this season. They bought over 1,000 acres of some of the best flat prime farm ground out there. And I mean, you know, and they pay crazy money. You know, they're paying these guys, they pay them like $15,000 an acre. And you know, some of the people are 70.
Are they buying or leasing the ground?
They bought this ground. Yeah, because that's what I was kind of hoping. I'm like, maybe they'll lease it and nothing will ever happen. And, you know, then it'll just kind of dissolve. But they actually purchased this land. And, but they do, they offer, you know, the guys that held out, the landowner that I was dealing with there was 160 acres I was working. He was the last guy to sign. He kept telling them no, because he'd call me and he'd be like, I hate these sons of bitches from Silicon Valley. Like, that's what he'd be like, all these California bastards. And so he was like, I kept telling them no, but they bought everything around him. And he said, my farm's going to be surrounded by solar panels. He said, once they build them, he said, the value of my property is going to tank. And he said, and I don't want to be surrounded by freaking solar panels. And so he had kept telling them no. So then they just, every time he'd tell them no, they'd come back with more money. Mm-hmm. They just kept coming back with more money. And yeah, finally they offered him so much. He's 70 something years old. And he was like, man, at this point, he's like, it is what it is. And so, you know, I don't know that's what I've said. We went to Utah, and there's some ground out there that ain't good for nothing. I'm like, why don't they just cover this place up with freaking solar panels?
So the moral of the story is don't ever take the first offer.
Don't take the first offer. Yeah.
Just hold out. Yeah. Hold out.
Any landowners out there listening, do not take the first offer.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, he took I bet you he took the 7th offer. He was like, just kept telling them no.
Well, and he used to farm.
He did.
Yeah. So he knew where, you know, he was coming at it from kind of the same angle as us, you know, and, you know, it hurt him to see it, leaving production.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't just the fact that it was solar farms, but.
Which he had extended family in it as well, and they were all like pushing, they wanted to sell. Yeah. So it was really like 1 out of 4 people he was extremely outnumbered, and they're like, all right, you know, like every time he'd tell them no, and then they'd up the money. And so then it gets to the point where it's like, dude, you can't keep telling, like, you're going to tell them no, they ain't going to offer more. So he was in a tight spot. Yeah, I don't know, man. You don't see it on poor ground.
No. That's the problem in our area is that, you know, they just keep creeping past North 40.
Yeah.
Yet everything I like to call the south side of 40, you've got the service merchandise building that's just sitting there. The old Hickory Mall, there's maybe 2 or 3 stores in the mall. Yeah. Why aren't they using that? And we kept saying, you know, stop taking farm ground.
Yeah.
Use what you have in the city. I mean, they're doing it, you know, in my suburb back home in Chicago. They're taking the old malls, and then they already have the infrastructure. So they're having the mom and pop stores underneath and then building apartment complexes on top.
Really?
Yeah. And it's great because, you know, my friends will send me pictures like, you remember we used to go to the club here? I'm like, we don't talk about that. But it's right next to the old mall. And now the mall's not the mall anymore. It is like all the parking garages. It's either a hotel or it's shops underneath. And they're building, you know, apartment complexes because people don't want to live in the city of Chicago right now.
No.
Well, coming out, they're like, well, hey, we can just use the infrastructure here. I mean, I think that's what cities need to start doing. Yeah. You have these empty buildings, use the infrastructure. Stop taking our farmland from us.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, we're prime example too. We're about 25 miles outside of Memphis, and when we haul grain to Memphis, you'll pass.
Oh, I'm sorry, I cannot imagine.
Oh, I carry.
No.
I carry some.
Less and less goes that direction now.
Yeah, most of mine now is going to hauls, but I still go that way, but I just pack a lot of heat when I go down there. But
Pack a lot.
Yeah, you pass so many dilapidated like warehouses and stuff, and it's like, heck. I'm thinking
somebody invest here. Yeah.
And I mean, bulldoze them and cover this up. I mean, it's tons of that down there. Because they don't want to build apartments and stuff because nobody wants to get murdered. They don't want to go there and get killed.
Exactly.
That's like our infrastructure here. We're talking about that 400 house, development supposed to go in. Our roads already can't handle the traffic in the mornings. I mean, our population 6,000 of Munford. 2 traffic cops in the mornings, like you can't get anywhere. Like everything's such a bottleneck, and
where we didn't tell everybody. Tell them where y'all farm.
Yeah,
no, we got off the weeds real quick.
We did. That's a good sign. That's a good sign.
Talk about developers.
Yeah, where are y'all at?
Go ahead, Kelly. You didn't talk much.
Really?
Yeah.
So we're in Humboldt, Tennessee. Actually, we're 13 miles northwest of Jackson.
Okay.
So about 80% of our farms are in Madison County. And then the other, would you say about 20%?
It's about 50-50, Crockett and Madison. We're right on the border of the 2 counties.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we're in Crockett County with a Humboldt address.
And Humboldt's in Gibson County. So that makes a lot of sense.
Doesn't it? Yeah. I mean, but the farm's been around since 1882. So I think... Yeah, God, you look back on some of the records that we have in the office, it's like Route 5, and then it was
that was our old mailing address, Route 5.
Yeah.
And then they changed it to Mason Grove, and then they changed our actual address because we live on the corner of like 2 streets.
Yeah.
Like, you're no longer this road anymore. You're over here.
Yeah.
Even had the bank call, did you guys move your house? We're like, no, the 911 address moved our address.
That's pretty wild. 1882. That's wild.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't have as many fingers to count, but it's like 140 years.
Yeah.
I'm 5th generation. As far back as I've been able to track my history was 1882. That's when my great-great-grandfather moved the cotton gin about 5 miles from the highway to where it is now.
Yeah.
It was Mason Grove was actually a up and coming community for quite a few years, and then the railroads got built and went through. They decided to build the railroad through Gadsden, which is about 2.5 miles down the road. So Mason Grove kind of just stopped growing, and Gadsden grew. Yeah,
that's so your So tell us who started the operation? Your grandfather?
My great grandfather is the one that moved the cotton gin, and that's, like I said, that's as far back as I've been able to track history. We're a certified Tennessee Century Farm, and through deeds records. Unfortunately, everybody that really knew the history of our family passed away before I cared enough about to ask about it. My dad, my granddad passed away when I was 18. My dad passed away when I was 25. When I was 25, I didn't care about family history.
Yeah. No, I was the same. That's what it's funny. I mean, Bobby Lee's dad, especially, he really nerds out on the history.
Yeah.
Because he tracked our lineage back. I think I shared this before. He tracked us all the way back to Abraham Lincoln's mother.
Yeah. Good God.
And because she was Nancy Hanks, but he gets into that, and I was saying,
well, he goes back, like he's found where they were in North Carolina before they even came this far west.
Yeah.
And different like wills, and I don't know how he finds it. He spends a lot of time on a computer.
So did all of it, like, did every generation they farmed? Was there other occupations they did as well, or were they able to make a living?
I mean, I forget how many kids my great-great-grandfather had, but Willis Wayne Griggs was his son, and he kind of took over the cotton gin. So it was all about cotton ginning early on. Yeah, we grew some cattle, maybe grew a few acres of whatever, but it was the cotton gin was our industry.
Gotcha.
So Willis Wayne, my great-grandfather, took over the operation, and then his son James Wayne Griggs took over the operation after that, and then my dad he was he's one of two brothers. He started working with my granddad, and my dad was more interested in farming, and he really kind of expanded the operation into, more of a not just a side business, more of a main business. And then my dad didn't want any part to do with the cotton gin, because at that time it was a small gin. They needed a lot of dollars in upgrades. Labor was hard to find. He just didn't want the headache. So the cotton gin ended with my granddad, and we ginned our last crop in 1995. My granddad passed away in 97. And then I graduated college in 02, worked with my dad for 3 years before he suddenly got ill in the middle of 2005, actually during planting season.
Oh, man.
And passed away like a month later. And then I'm there at 25 years old thinking I know everything about farming, don't know squat about farming. And, I'm the only one there that can run the farm. And only by the grace of God, we survived. I mean, we took some pretty big hardships. We had the worst drought in 50-something years in 07, 2 years after I took over the farm, lost $100,000 that year. And, we definitely taken our lumps along the way, but we've learned a lot, and really, really proud of what it's become.
Yeah. And the craziest part is we were dating when his dad passed away. So here, here comes me, the Yankee from Chicago, and dating a man who's, I thought it was cool. Like, our first date, he took me out and showed me the shop, and in was the cotton picker. And I was like, that is so cool. I have to know how that works.
Yeah.
And then, took me out on the 4-wheeler, and I was like, God, I'm hooked.
Yeah.
And then not only that, I had 2 kids from a previous relationship, and I was a single parent, and here we are dating, and his dad passes away. And I told him, I said, well, I guess we're doing this. And then we were married, less than a year being together. Yeah. And I mean, that's how you did it old school, you know? You just didn't do this like, we're going to date for 5 years. I'm like, look, this is it. I mean,
how long have you been married?
Oh, good God.
Seems like forever.
It would be 18 years, honey.
Hey, whatever she said, I'll trust that number.
No, we've been together 19 years this month. So
wow, that's awesome.
It goes fast.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it was like, well, okay, well, I guess we're doing this. And then, he got down on one knee in a cornfield. After,
that's awesome.
After he told me,
so perfect. Like
right?
all of it's so perfect.
It is.
After he, he called me out from my job, and he's like, you have to come out here. I'm like broke down. I'm like, whatever. So I pick up Nate from daycare, and I come out there, and at that time I was working in the restaurant and hospitality industry, because that's what ultimately moved me from Chicago here.
Okay. Yeah.
And
so that's how you met. You moved here.
Yeah. So I moved here in 2001. I got a job opportunity, and the kid's biological father, his parents lived in Huntington.
Gotcha.
And they said, hey, if you move here, we'll help you out. And they were wonderful people. So I got out of that horrible lifestyle and moved down here, and it was just supposed to be for 6 months. And then I was like, well, I guess I'm not going back, because I'm like, wait a minute, I can rent an entire house for $400.
Yeah.
Everybody's so nice. Like, yeah, I'm going to stay here. And I was pregnant with Nate when I moved. So, but yeah, I met him, and we got married in February of 06. And, at that time I was working in restaurant and hospitality and helping him out. And I remember dates on the Ford 8430 sitting on the toolbox. There was an
8730.
87, whatever. I got the wrong name. It was blue.
Yeah.
And I just thought, this is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
And also that was, the man had a job. Like, it was permanent. Like, he couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And then he had a house.
Stability.
And I was like, this is the
farming,
most
as stable as farming could be.
Yeah.
And say,
Well, and
there's different ways to look at that. Yeah.
Yes.
And I tell everybody, it takes a really strong man to, marry a woman with 2 kids and then say, I'm going to adopt them and raise them as my own.
Yeah.
And, he kept saying, I don't like babies. Paige was 7 and Nate was 3. was like, we have one of each. She's like,
He did pretty
shoot.
good with them then.
Yeah, I mean, I was past all that baby stage. No changing diapers, no nothing.
Yeah.
He was like, wait, this is easy.
Yeah.
And,
I thought I was just coming in for the best years, and sadly, I didn't know that much about parenting. Otherwise, I might have had a different decision.
but I mean, we've always had kids.
Yeah.
So, and then, you know, he couldn't find help, and it was hard for him taking over. And
So you were like, we gotta have a son. We need another kid. We need help.
here's the funny thing. So Paige is 27 now. Nate is 22. Carter's 15.
Yeah.
And to this day, the older two will say their best times on the farm was when we did hay.
Really?
And we will tell you the worst times on the farm was when we did hay.
Yeah, I
like we
hated
absolutely
that hay
hated
field.
hay. But they got really upset when we said we were getting out of it. And I mean, here we were just like thrown into it. And, you know, we had Carter and he was 6 weeks old sitting on a combine.
Yeah.
And we just made it work.
Yeah.
And
That is pretty awesome. And I do not have very fond memories of the hayfield. Like when you're mentioning that, like I'm thinking that's the hottest place in the world is in a hayfield, and chunking square bales. Nah, yeah.
And see, like, of course, because I'm 8 years older than Logan, we had accumulators by the time you really got to be like a teenager.
After a little while,
little bit.
A little bit. But I still loading in the
no.
van trailers was the part that made me want to kill myself.
You know, I feel like I sound like my dad. Like back at my day, we loaded it all.
we have reached that age.
There
back
was
in
no
my day.
accumulator.
Yeah.
We had a bale wagon, but we only used those on the farms where we had storage.
Yeah.
We loaded it all by hand.
Yeah. Oh man, no. Well, that was.
And unloaded it the same night.
Yep. It was going to get unloaded. Yeah, man. That
After dark in the barn.
Yep.
115 degree heat index.
the those freaking van trailers at the shop, loading in those was awful just because you couldn't breathe. Like you were putting it in the back of the van trailers.
We say we always just pushed the bales in the van trailers with the grapple. There was we didn't have to pick up any.
Yeah. Oh man, no, we had to get them off a trailer. We'd have one guy throwing them off the trailer into the van trailer, and then a guy in the van trailer would be going and stacking them.
Oh, we have 2 or 3 in there, yeah.
And the air would be thick, like it would be
Of course,
thick in
you
there.
get the worst of it done first. You have to carry them all the way to the front.
Yeah.
And, you know, you work your way back.
It's like 30 degrees hotter at the back of it. Yeah, that was, you blow your nose after and it's black, you know, like, it's pretty nice.
It's so funny to look back.
Wheat straw like that too.
Oh God,
yes.
wheat straw.
Yeah.
No.
It built character though.
It did,
yeah.
It did. It did.
Yeah,
What were you going to say?
I said it just, I don't even remember. But yeah, like, it's funny that they say that hay was their favorite thing. And we're
So
like, are
what
you
did-
crazy?
What did they love about the hayfield?
Well, that was the main thing was that was their chance to actually like drive equipment, you know,
Yeah, I
rake
got
hay and
Okay.
that kind of stuff. Because
Not
it was
the-
smaller equipment, you know, it was something that they could handle, or they'd be on the little Ford tractor pulling around the hay trailers as I loaded it on there.
Okay.
Gotcha. So not the throwing bales. That
Oh
was
no,
not-
They didn't like the manual labor part of it. But
when my dad decided to get in the hay business in 02, which because at that time we'd grown nothing but cotton, and cotton had about broke. It's like, I've got to do something different.
Yeah.
And he decided to get in the hybrid Bermuda hay, and we planted like 140 acres. And I said, well, the only way I'm doing it is if I don't have to pick it up by hand. Like, oh, you can buy accumulators and grapples and stuff. So,
Oh, those things are nice.
yeah, that was about the time we got into the accumulators were just becoming a big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, man, there's been a lot of changes in ag, and I know, like you said, in y'all's area, y'all recently had issues, which Bobby Lee and I talked about at the chicken litter fiasco. Like, cause y'all
The whole urban sprawl.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, did it finally get things worked out?
I guess our understanding, the city council of Jackson have just decided to drop the matter. It's not going to be permanent. I mean, people are going to continue to complain about it, and they're going to become more and more vocal.
Yeah.
It'll be an issue.
And I don't think that's the last we've seen at the issue, but I mean, right now it's dead. I mean, technically it ought to be dead regardless. Tennessee has a right to farm.
Yeah.
Well,
States,
I hate to take credit for it, but I wrote them a letter.
Well,
So it was solely you. You did it.
I appreciate it. I
did. You had me fired up. Y'all had that video. I was like, ah, damn it.
I think I reached out to Custoff. I did like call Custoff.
I mailed. I did the old snail mail. Like,
yeah, Bobby Lee likes to send letters. Yeah.
Oh, there was a lot of people who sent
we
like
had,
letters.
We had a viewer in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Send a letter. And he actually copied me on the email.
Well, that's awesome.
In Louisiana, but y'all doing this guy wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I had friends in Georgia and Florida send, actual emails and letters, and then we come to find out, there was a lot of pressure. And not only that, but
That's
I think
good.
the lawyer,
we're outnumbered. I mean, obviously.
Yeah,
We are. But I know I spent like all night one night. I typed up like a 7-page letter, and I got scientific. I was like trying to find studies, and I actually had citations in my letter and everything saying all these claims, environmental quality and stuff. All this stuff is bogus, and then explained our reasoning behind it. And I've seen it. Of course, we called a lot of different organizations, Farm Bureau, the NCGA, the ASA, and I had all of them, type up letters of support. Funny thing is, the one place we had no support from was Tennessee Department of Agriculture.
Really?
Well, in fact, we had. I've got a friend that works with the TDA, and he was fired up about it. He's like, this is not right. We got a right to farm state. They have no legal leg to stand on. And he was told by his superiors to cease and desist any activities on that matter. And
wow.
I'm not going to name any names or anything. And I don't know why. He didn't know why, but
wow.
Are we going to go on an anti-government rant?
Well,
No.
Actually, I'll tell you. Let me tell you. Speaking of TDA,
Because I don't need a reason to go on an anti-government
no, Bobby Lee
rant.
really gets bad, but the TDA, they kind of kicked us in the nuts this year too, or this past season, because I'm in their cover crop program and I'm in the equip program as well, and I like it's the 5 species is what I like to do.
yeah.
Well, I didn't have some of it signed up, so they're like, do the TDA program.
We done it that too.
Yeah, so I did it, and I did like the 2 oats and radish or something. Well, I did exactly what they told me to do, and then I called them, like, it's been about 3 weeks ago. I called NRCS, and I was like, man, I never got that last payment. And he was like, man, we're not getting it. And I was like, what do you mean we're not getting it? And he was like, there's just no more money.
That's funny, because at least in our county, like TDA's got plenty of money. It's equipped that always runs short.
Oh yeah, see, we're the opposite. Yeah, he's like, because he showed me a stack, and he was like, I shouldn't tell you this, but he said you were actually the first name that would have got paid, but we ran out right before you. And I was like, that just makes me sick. But,
kick to the nuts.
yeah,
That really was. Hey, you missed it by 1.
yes, yeah, because he was like, let me see, you're somewhere. Oh, he was like, oh yeah, sorry man, you actually were 1 away from getting paid.
And when y'all were going through that, and we talked about it on here, and we wrote the letter, whatever. The thing that I thought of was like, all those people complaining. It's like, and I don't know if this was as clever as I thought it was in my mind, but I was like, tell them that smells like cheap groceries.
Oh, heck yeah.
In my letter, I argued that these same people complaining, we've got a Chick-fil-A on Van Drive in Jackson, and at noon every day you can't get down Van Drive because people are blocking the road trying to get in Chick-fil-A parking lot.
Yeah.
All these same people that are blocking the road, causing pollution with their cars sitting there idling waiting to get in to eat chicken, are the same ones complaining about what I'm doing with the waste from the said chickens that they're about to eat.
Yeah.
Their literal byproduct. Yeah. I'm literally making their product cheaper by allowing them to monetize a byproduct. Yeah.
Well, what really got me too is the fact that a lot of these people that would be attacking you, they'd be the same ones that'd be like, farmers need to be more regenerative and sustainable. And it's like, you're literally using natural fertilizer.
And I'll only buy organic and all, which is the biggest hoax in America today.
It is.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because that's the thing we're doing. You're asking us to change. We change.
Yeah.
We cut back on synthetics. We find ways to make it better. We're using nature with nature. we're telling everybody, hey, we're putting vitamins in the soil, making things healthy.
But it smells
But
bad
not
for
in
a
my-
couple
not in
days.
my
So
backyard.
bad.
Yeah, well, I mean,
not in my
that's
backyard.
nature.
Do that somewhere else.
Nature smells bad.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
didn't complain when on the backside of one of our farms they built a sewer treatment plant that I had to smell when I'm out there in 95-degree heat chopping pigweeds in my cotton field that's
Yeah,
right
for
behind
real.
it. I
Yeah.
don't complain about that. That's just all part of what's there. You got to
Yeah.
deal with it.
And
Yeah.
the crazy part is we can smell the paper plant that is 30 miles away
Really?
in South Jackson if you get a southwest wind or a southeast wind, and it just smells awful.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking,
And that's a continuous smell.
it's a continuous smell. And then
Yeah.
they want to say, what really got me fired up was, oh, well, we've done research and there's environmental impacts. You lie so bad. Like
Yeah.
that really upset me because there's no way you did. There's
Yeah.
absolutely none because you didn't ask permission to do it. For one, you didn't call us asking us anything. Nope. You just decided to use the fluff stuff that media likes to use.
Well, they're not gonna ask the farmer.
environmental.
Farmers are dumb. That's how they think. I mean, like,
Farmers are dumb, and we're only 1.5% of the population,
Yeah.
so we don't matter.
no, and that's where we've quoted many times old Mike Bloomberg when he was running for president. He was like, you stick a seed in the ground, it grows. Like that was his definition of a farmer.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, come out, let's show you all the technology we're running today. Like, so I mean, that unfortunately is the perception that a lot of people have.
Well, but farmers only have themselves to blame for that. Yeah, we're a small part of the population, but in general, us as farmers, we just want to be left alone to do what we're passionate about. Whereas we passed the turning point a long time ago where we need to be vocal as far as telling people what we do, how we do it, and why we do it. We can't just stick our heads in the sand and think everybody's going to appreciate what we do.
Yeah.
We have to educate the public.
Well, and I feel like that's probably why y'all do YouTube like you do. A big reason.
I mean, it started out as a big reason. We started out on Facebook in 09 or 10, sharing our lives and farming and everything. And then in 2017, we got approached about the TV show on the History Channel, the American Farm, and filmed it in 18. And we're like, man, we really have an opportunity now. Kelly and I discussed this a lot before we actually went on. Like, we really have an opportunity to put agriculture in the mainstream in a positive light. I mean, this is kind of what our calling can be. And unfortunately, that was very short lived. It only lasted one season, but then, after that, we kind of turned to YouTube. I started YouTube before, but just doing like harvest videos set to music so I could look back years from now, see what our equipment was, what our operation looked like. But then after being on the show and everything we learned about filming and telling a story and everything, like we can continue this. And that really kind of what kicked off our YouTube is geared towards the general public, it kind of explaining what we do and hopefully entertaining them a little bit. And then it kind of morphed from there that we go places like farm shows and people recognize us like farmers and like, hey, I watch you and I appreciate, we've learned about how you farm and it's really helped our operation. So we realize it's just not the general public. There's other farmers out there that watch and want to learn from us. So we started including content geared more towards farmers too, trying to hit multiple different audiences and doing different videos targeted on different things. And it's kind of grown, and we try and do a little something for everybody. We don't have just one thing, one kind of format that we focus on our platform.
Well, I enjoyed the show. I watched that show because it was like, wasn't it 4 different families that kind of went around? Five. Okay. Yeah. Because I remember that one, the one tripped me out. It was the black guy and his son.
Lord, do we talk about that?
Yeah. Like I couldn't tell if he was, I couldn't tell what was going on there, but it was pretty comical. Like the one I can remember, he left him to like plow a field or something.
God.
The only thing I'll say about that is I can tell you some stories after we get off there.
Yeah, we can.
We'll
We'll
leave it at that.
But it's crazy because, it started off with an email, and I saw a friend of mine had sent it to me saying they were looking for 5th generation or higher.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, that's us. And they were just going to do a documentary about how your farm started.
Yeah.
So I sent this really sarcastic email and just was livened it up, like, hey, city girl marries a redneck, we got 2 kids and we're doing this on our own. And it just morphed from there. And it's crazy because when they came to film, here I have this man standing in my kitchen, and I Googled him like 2 hours before they showed up. And I was like, oh my God, do you realize what we got into? This man has Emmy Awards for Deadliest Catch and Ice Road Truckers. What are we doing? Like, this is no. Like, we're in so deep right now. And, the kids were little.
Yeah.
Well, Paige had actually started, she was in college and Nate was in high school, and Carter was, the cute little redheaded 8-year-old who he was so fun. And, that age is a good age and everybody loved him. And, never thought in a million years that it would be something positive. And at that point in my life, I was miserable because I had no friends here.
Yeah.
The farm wives in our area, they didn't work with their husbands like I did.
Yeah.
And so I really felt lonely. And then after that show aired, which, by the way, we had to fight, like, what was it, 4 months that we didn't get our contract signed because we said, look, we're not going to make up anything. You're not going to tell us to do something we don't want to do.
Yeah, nothing's going to be staged.
Nothing's going to be staged.
I told because they showed up like the first week, and then the head producer called me like, hey, we need to see this, this, and this.
Like, I need a hydraulic hose to explode.
No, he literally said, can you get the tractor stuck? I said, wait a day.
I told them, look, trust me.
You trust us.
Stuff's going to happen. Just make sure you keep your cameras rolling.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, like, disasters after disasters just kept on happening to us that year. Like, we had the tractor burn up. I'm like, you can't make this stuff up.
Oh, I actually had a guy ask me to my face.
Stranger than fiction. Yeah.
He said, did you guys set that tractor on fire for views? I went, why the heck would I say? Are you serious?
Yeah.
He's like, well, you know how TV is. I go, oh, no. We were on vacation and got a phone call that it caught on fire. And Matt and I were like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Like, we got to call the producer because we were on break.
Yeah.
They had left.
That would happen while y'all were on break. Wouldn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're like, oh my God, we have to send everybody back.
Yeah.
And so, everything that happened on our end on that show happened.
Yeah.
The thing with Carter's school. The
that was an
tractor, all
emotional
of it.
thing. I remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and Kelly and I had a lot of conversations where, like, we know their ultimate goal is to create drama. They want to create friction between us because it makes for good TV. We have to be very careful about what we say and how we say it because we can't control how they portray us. If we don't, if they don't film it, they can't put it on TV.
Yeah.
So we were very mindful of that. So at least from for our farm, they were pretty close to true to who we are and what actually happened.
Gotcha.
I can't say that about the other farms. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we all know how TV works.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And they first week that we had figured out that their whole drama was going to be between us. And they're like, well, she's from Chicago.
They're like, your wife's a Yankee.
No, they're like, no, she's more like a BITCH. So I was like, really? And that's how they portrayed me against him. And so they would try and start fights with us. And I was like, okay, we can't do this.
Yeah.
We're not going to do it. So they literally had to make up drama that Matt bought a farm without me. And they rode that horse so bad that I was pissed by like the 3rd month because they're like, how do you feel about it? How do you feel about it? You've asked me 972 times. How do you think I feel about it? He didn't buy it without me.
Yeah.
It was offered to him in the middle of our corn harvest. And the family wanted a decision very quickly, very soon.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, hey, you guys want this? And so Matt had said, just called me on the radio. He's like, oh, they accepted my offer on the farm. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
He's like, uh-oh. What?
Yeah.
So when he told me about it, I was like, okay, we're going to invest in land. Absolutely. Let's do this. I mean, it's scary, but
they did portray that much differently in the show.
God. It was ridiculous. And
Hollywood, man, Hollywood.
Yeah.
And then the whole time I'm sitting there and they're just like, God, she's awful. She's always so angry. Well, yeah, because when you ask the same question 972 times.
You were kind of angry that season.
I was, and people don't see what happens after they stop filming. We were dealing with a lot of mental health issues in our family.
Yeah.
And extended and our own child. And, where he wasn't on the right medication and, insurance sucked, and they didn't see that side.
Yeah.
But we were absolutely blessed because our cameramen, they were like, we're never going to show that because we understand what that's like. We have family like that too. It's not right.
Yeah.
And, I guess we can say that's a blessing in disguise, but there's a time I was crying in a tractor and they're just like, oh, how do you feel? Because Matt lost money. And I was crying because the fact of, it was rough on us. We were dealing with family stuff.
Yeah.
Health issues. I was so sick during filming. People didn't understand that. In fact, they caught on to it afterwards. They're like, you were a different size by the last episode.
Yeah, you were real skinny.
I was, excuse me? Are you trying to say something now? Don't even start, mister. Don't even start. No, well,
it's dangerous, getting dangerous in here.
Time to mention a sponsor brand.
Well, no, I mean, like, and people had noticed that, and they're like, well, they didn't really touch on it, and actually, they were going to. Season 2 was going to start off with, they filmed me going to the surgeon.
Really?
And they were like, because they had thought I had stomach cancer.
Yeah.
And it was scary because I couldn't eat. I couldn't drink. I was miserable. I had a bag of frozen peas on my chest the last night we were filming, which was the overnight thing.
Yeah.
I couldn't eat. I couldn't, I was 35, 40 pounds lighter.
Yeah.
And thank God that I didn't have it. It was another autoimmune disease.
Yeah.
But people don't see that when the camera stopped rolling, just as if on YouTube. Same thing. I've had to do a couple PSAs like, oh God, Kelly's just in a piss ass mood. Well, you don't see what we're dealing with on the other side. Relationship problems, kids, family, because our parents are getting older.
Yeah.
It's like, you have a breaking point.
Well, that's what I put up a video today on that.
By the way, I totally love that. That was great.
Well, I appreciate it. That's where that's what I do appreciate with YouTube. It actually does give you the platform to show that, because a lot of the ag pages that I feel like people follow, it shows, it shows equipment that I'll never be able to afford. Like the new John Deere tractor that has like 900 and something horsepower.
The 9RX.
Yeah.
830.
It looks so cool, but I will never be able to afford it. I don't even have an
1.2
application.
million.
Yeah.
I'll never even sit in one. Unless it's at a farm show, I'll never even sit in one.
Well,
I sat in it and it was just like, are you kidding me? Like, it was at the Commodity Classic and it was hooked up to their drill. In fact, I taped it and then Matt put it on YouTube, and it literally took me 15 minutes to walk around the entire implement.
That's just because you stopped and talked to everybody.
No, I was looking at all the hoses, and then like everything is stainless steel, and I'm looking at that going wrong and that going wrong. How much is that to replace? And you're thinking, a small farmer like us, there's no way. There's no way.
I follow, I guess it's called X now, but Twitter. He's like a farm economist kind of guy, and he broke it down like, even at $10,000 an acre, how many acres of land you can buy for 1.2 million. It's like really? Like, we're doing this? And people are arguing like, oh, well, it's going to make you so much more efficient,
Efficiency only counts for so much.
I mean, obviously that equipment is targeted for a very specific
like your
type
big
grower.
The BTOs, as we like to talk about. That's like the BTO of the BTOs. Like to pull a machine like that.
Think about that, like, my gosh, when he put it into that context, like, that's how many acres you could buy of like prime farm ground.
Yeah.
Like, oh, good Lord.
Well, I don't even have, like I said, I wouldn't even have an application for that kind of a machine.
Oh, right. Yeah, you won't see one around here.
Like, if I put my 40-foot planter behind that thing,
you're not going to pay for it.
No, or we got a Paratil back here that's like 20 foot wide. It would like rip the shanks off of that thing. So
it'd pull the frame in half.
Yeah, it's not doable. My thing is, you keep going to these farm shows and everybody's bigger, and I'm looking at that thinking, why aren't they making things more efficient for us instead of, well, I gotta be bigger than the next guy, because it's not efficient.
Well, you know what ticks me off? John Deere makes, and I run a lot of mostly green, but John Deere makes a combine like overseas that's a smaller, I can't remember, it's SL20 or 200 or something.
Well, the Case H does the same thing. I think it was like a 4088. A class 4 combine.
Yeah, and they're like a lot cheaper. They're targeted for those guys. And I'm like, why don't they make a combine that's not 900 horsepower, that's made for the guy that's working 1,000, 2,000 acres? Like, like I would say the more normal farmer I mean, I don't know why they don't invest in
Well,
that.
and somebody else on Twitter pointed that out. It's like, okay, as this equipment just goes more just ridiculously extravagant, at what point do they quit making anything right for the regular guy?
I think they just about have almost.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
well, just look at topography. The biggest farmer around us. Last I heard, he's somewhere 22,000 acres. Okay, if it was all in big fields, he could probably make use of this huge equipment. But we're still dealing with 20, 30, 40 acre fields here. You don't need these mega machines. You can't fit these mega machines in. So even big farmers are going to need smaller equipment depending on where they're from.
That's true. Yeah. When I'm spraying, I have to fold my sprayers in and spray some of them necks. You got the booms in kind of weird. I'm trying to fit them in there. So,
or as I like to call pole dancing,
yes.
And then these bigger guys in Texas are like, what are you talking about pole dancing for? I'm like, dude, how many times do you actually fold up in a day? Like one?
Yeah, they could drive down the road with their booms out, man.
But it's getting to the point now, and that was the big talk at the National Farm Machinery Show and Commodity Classic was this stuff is too big for us small farmers.
I don't think they care. Do they care? I don't think they care.
But my thing is, I know people who are custom harvesters, and that's what they're saying their demographic is. Are you serious? Why would a custom harvester change? Take three 7250s and trade it in for one AF11. Are you insane? Because if that AF11 goes down, you're screwed.
Yeah.
You got one 7250 goes down. Well, your other two are still working.
Yeah.
It's not feasible, even for those guys that harvest anywhere between 30 and 50,000 acres.
It's our fault. We keep buying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stop buying it.
I mean, we keep buying this ridiculously expensive equipment. I mean, not me, but I'll buy it several years from now once it's devalued. We're the ones buying $300 bag corn seed.
Yep.
It's our own fault. I mean,
it is.
They're producing a product, we're buying it, so they're going to keep on.
Are you pointing out my sweet corn over there?
Yeah, how much is that bag of sweet corn?
We were talking about it earlier. About
$450.
$480, I think, is what I paid for it.
For 25,000 kernels.
Yeah, for
That's
a
insane.
6-pound bag of corn. My field corn is 300. So
it is.
and that's a 40 to 60 pound bag of corn. And seeing is funny because there is no more technology in that corn than there is in the field corn. They just know
it tastes a lot better than field corn.
It does, but they know per acre you make more profit.
Yeah,
on sweet corn, so they just can jack the price way up.
Supply and demand.
Yeah. It is, but that's what I mean, man. There's a large part of me that thinks that they really don't want to see the small farmers anymore. They want this thing to go corporate. And so they don't care because I'm saying I have to buy a combine that a new combine to me is wore out to somebody else. Like my sprayer is wore out to somebody else. If I make a season and I don't have to work on it, then it is a God's miracle.
Does that happen?
Does that happen?
It's
I have no idea what that means.
Well, I don't even want to say anything.
I've heard myths, but I've never seen it before.
Yeah.
Just like that roller bigger we bought, we got really blessed with it.
I was there when y'all bought that.
Oh, yeah. And I was staring with my fingers chopped off at the guy, so I'm standing behind Matt. And the guy's like, he keeps going at it. And I just raise my two fingers and cast, keep going, buddy. I dare you. And then Matt, he finally, another friend of mine came behind me and they're like, oh, you guys gonna get it? And I was like, I don't know. Can you be quiet about it?
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, Matt turns around. They said sold. And he looks at me and goes, oh my God. I was like, did we just buy a bigger?
I still got gravel on my beard from my jaw hitting the ground.
Hey, y'all got a great deal on that thing, though.
Oh, we did. And I mean, I feel I wasn't prepared because I just seen it that morning. I'd even just considered it that morning. I knew we needed to at some point in time, but they haven't gotten down in price enough. And there's no way this one is. And I went with a check because I always go to an auction check because you don't ever know. There's two of them there. We went and looked at that one first and man, this thing's not wore out. We don't have to sink $80,000 into the heads. It's tight. It's dirty. It's got some blemishes, but it's old. But it was a model we're looking for. And then we looked at the other one, and it was complete trash. You couldn't pay me to take this thing home.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It had 3 or 4 fires in it. We're just nope.
It was pouring down the rain that day.
It was a miserable day.
I mean, we'll see what it starts. We'll see what it starts at. It's not going to go for what we can afford, but if it does, it's something I'd bid on.
Yeah.
Anyway, truck got around there, still pouring down rain, and they opened a bid, and there's 2 guys bidding on it.
Yeah.
And I could tell that one of the guys about to pull out. It was down there like $140,000. Like, this other guy might get it. He ain't getting it for this.
Yeah. I was like, get him,
Because that's what, a $250,000
at least the lowest one I had seen that year with way more hours. This thing only had 1,776 hours on it. Low hour for 2010
1776. How American is that?
Oh, it was so American.
I've never had a picker that new.
Yeah.
No.
So anyway, it started. I jumped in like 140,000. I'd set a limit at 160,000. Like if we get it, I'm gonna have to absolutely steal it.
Yeah.
So anyway, he got the $160,000 bid, and they turned to me for 165. Like, I'm gonna give it one more bid. So they were at 165. I said chop it in half. I said do 162.5. So I did that, and the other guy, he all of a sudden backed out. I was like, oh my gosh, what just happened?
He literally turned around, looked at me, and was like, oh my God. I'm like, did we just buy a roller picker? And he's like, yeah.
And like this guy was talking to me, and like I couldn't hear anything except the blood in my ears.
Yeah.
And I realized he was wanting my number.
He's like, sir, you were having like in Saving Private Ryan
Yeah.
when Tom Hanks is shell shot.
That's exactly
like, Captain.
And I was like, oh God, we bought a bigger. And then he just turns around, they get his number, and I looked at him, he looked at me, and we went, oh shit.
I mean, I just looked over what I thought was like a $250,000 machine for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm very anal. I like to study on stuff. I like to take my time and decide. And I don't make rash decisions like this. But there was more to it that we had to fix on than what we thought. But you know, I paid $162.5 for it. We sank probably around $45,000 into it.
Yeah.
I got a dang good picker, low hour picker for just a little over $200,000.
Yeah.
It wound up being a really great deal.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a miserable auction.
Yes,
me
it was.
and
God, I was so
Brock
mad.
actually went to that one, and Brock's cold when it's 80 degrees, so he was like freezing because it's soaking wet. And but yeah, I remember when y'all bought that. That was pretty cool. That was a cool day.
I mean, that's just, but to other people, they look at that like, oh, that's just a piece of trash. And for us, it's like, oh my God, this is going to make our lives so much better.
Yeah, because y'all were doing it, the old picker, the you got to have an army to do it that way.
You mean this right here? We were the army. That was it.
You really do. And you know, we've been in the cotton business since 1882, and with the cost of the new pickers, because they weren't making the basket style anymore. Nobody has. We've been in the cotton business since 1882. I didn't know how much longer we could remain in the cotton business. I mean, if my picker caught on fire and burned up, I mean, they don't make them anymore. I'm gonna have to be out. And you know, I was, for the last 3-4 years, I was really torn. You know, how do we make that jump? Because I mean, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, I mean, that picker I got for $162.5. I mean, they were in the $400,000 to $500,000 range.
Yeah.
I grow 500 acres of cotton a year. How can I can't justify that.
Yeah.
What's going to happen? And anyway, I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared, but you know, the good Lord, he provided an opportunity for us, and luckily I wasn't stupid enough to pass it up.
Yeah. Yeah. Auctions, man. It's just something about an auction.
I don't go to a lot of auctions, but that never happens to me.
Well,
I'm always like, I'll give this for it, and it goes for 3 times that. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
You've gone a couple of times.
I
and
tried
been
to buy a
like,
dirt pan this past winter during the midst of a major snowstorm. It was 0 degrees outside. I'm like, I'm gonna get some deals today. And the one piece of equipment in the entire auction goes for way higher than what I thought it was, and it was the one I was bidding on.
I was like, you should have just never left the house.
Yeah, that's generally how it goes for me. Like I bought a 8420 tractor John Deere up there. This was out down in the river bottoms. They did a guy got out. He was an older guy, and I was like, I'll go to, because at the time I didn't even have a tractor yet, so it was my first tractor. But my budget was pretty slim. But I said I'll go to like 60 if I find the right tractor. And I found this one up there. My dad was with me, and I'm looking at it. This was several years ago, and nobody's even looking at this tractor. Like and it looks pretty good. I checked it out. It only had like 4,500 hours on it, which was over 04. It was a 2004 model. And I go over there to bid. Nobody's bidding on it except for one other guy. I walk over, and they're like open a bid, and I stand around for a while, and nobody hits. So I hit it. And as soon as I hit it, then this other dude starts hitting it. And me and him it's just steady back and forth. And we get up to like 60, and my dad leans over and he's like, you need to keep bidding on this tractor. He's like, it's well worth. He's like, at least go to 70. And I'm like, shit, that's 10 grand more than I was planning to spend. And he said, just go to 70. So I like kept hitting back and forth. I think I bought it. That dude hit 70. And I was like, 71. And that dude, he finally stopped. But what's wild is that tractor now, I have looked, because I drove it home and it had a leak around the main, and I didn't notice that, of course. So I ended up having to take it straight to John Deere, sunk $6,000 into it right then. But they redid all the bottom end, everything. So I mean, the motor's solid now, but that tractor now would sell for $100 grand.
Like, if not more.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, yeah, because it has, I don't know, 6,000 hours on it or something. Yeah. So it would sell for probably 30 grand more than I paid for it.
I think we learned another moral of the story. If you're going to an auction and bid, I said I was going to stop at 160. The guy I was bidding against said his limit was 160, although I didn't know it. Your guy was 70,000. So go one step above your limit, because there's a good chance the other guy has got the same limit in mind.
Or just have no limits, man.
No.
One of these days, maybe when I get that YouTube sponsorship, we'll be no limit.
Yeah, that's what I've gone to some heifer auctions, trying to buy cows, and I'd go out and have like the ag enhancement money, already secured, where they're giving you an extra so many dollars per head. And they would just get sky high. I'd be like,
it's a cow.
What? I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm like, this is a seller's market. This ain't a buyer's market.
Yep.
Next year we'd take heifers up there. And the year before it was standing room only. You couldn't even get near the pen. We'd take some heifers up there to sell. There's empty bleacher seats. Like, are you kidding me?
Like, man.
We literally, the one year I took heifers to that particular sale I'm talking about, we brought them home.
Oh, that's insane.
I guarantee you, because they were at the farm auction, I was trying to buy something.
One of the ring men bought them, and I went to talk to him afterwards because they registered. He's like, I don't really want them. He's like, they were just too damn cheap. He's like, you can have them back, just pay the commission fee or whatever. I was like, done.
I just bought my own cows back.
Like, we loaded them back up and hauled ass back home. Like, are you kidding me? Like, a year ago at this sale, stuff was so high it wasn't even funny.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Well, man, before we do run out of time, I gotta add one thing that I've been really wanting to ask you about, and I feel like it's a great year to ask about it, because with prices down, I've read an article on AgWeb about y'all's low input soybeans. Yep. And this is like extra piqued my curiosity. Is this something, I want to know the process. Like, because man, when I sit down and I'm putting the pencil to paper, mine ain't very cheap on the inputs. Is this because of what you've built the ground up to? Is that how you're able to do it, or what's your process?
Yeah, a lot of it's what we've done with soil health, cover crops, building fertility up to a level that I want to. And I actually saw your podcast where y'all were talking about this today. That's what I watched in the tractor all day, was your podcast.
Awesome.
So,
he was like, I'm going to be stuck with these two idiots.
But yeah, that article you're talking about was written by Chris Bennett, and we were talking about chicken litter, and he asked me how my crops was, and I told him how good our soybeans was. So like, I'm gonna do another article on that.
Yeah.
So, but that field averaged. We actually participated in the Tennessee Top Bean contest, and I had two separate trials. They both yielded identically at a hair over 91 bushels per acre.
That's pretty dadgum good.
But I credit it all to the weather last year, sunlight. We got them planted as early as I've ever gotten our beans planted before. I think April 20th to April 22nd is when we planted them. We had a very dry year last year, but we got just enough rain right in the nick of time. Yeah. But the key was, most of the times when we got that rain, we got it at night. So it was sunny the day it rained, and it was sunny the day after rain, but we got the moisture. So we got that extra sunlight.
Yeah, you weren't missing that. Yeah.
Yeah. And the fertility on those farms was already good, because I'd built it up in the past, and we're kind of we're still in the building phase on some of our farms, but on a lot of them, we finally got them up to where I want them to be. So we just have to pretty much do like a crop removal type. Of course, chicken litter is a big part of our fertility program. Even though last year for my soybeans, it wasn't because we couldn't get the chicken litter. But we planted them with minimal seed treatment, planted them green in the cover crop. We did, because of pigweed, we do have to spend a lot more on residuals than we want to. So we applied a good dose of residual at planting. No burn down before that. Well, we came back with a post-emergence herbicide pass, came back with a fungicide with a little bit of foliar fertilizer, and good Lord did the rest.
So you didn't burn down behind the planter?
No.
So you let them, it came up in the green?
No, we burned down right in front of the planter.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, right in front of the planter. But yeah, that particular farm wound up averaging like 81, 82 bushels an acre. We had $188 an acre in inputs on that
Total.
field. Total.
Yeah.
And people can't believe that. They're just like, I've gotten messages, how are you guys doing that? I'm like, well, look what we've been doing.
Our philosophy is like, and we went down this path, agriculture is getting highly technical, highly specific with all these little things you can do. How you buy this product, buy that product, mix and match them together, biological, like all this stuff's already out there in nature. We just got to create a habitat for it to flourish and not kill it. I don't need to spend all this $10 to $25 an acre on all these biologicals and stuff. It's already out there. I just got to make it flourish.
Yeah.
And that's what we do with, trying to have something green growing on our ground every month out of the year, using manure as our base fertilizer source and just trying to do things not to harm all of that stuff. I'm trying to simplify farming, get back to actually farming rather than being a chemist who grows stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of where last year I did a ton of green planting. Like that's what I was like, I'm just going to try it, which I put, one of the things I did, I put those spiked closing discs on my planter because I was having an issue, which I run a red planter and I tell people I could plant through concrete with that thing, just with those discs, but it wasn't closing the furrow back.
Yeah.
And man, I love those spiked closers, but I had never really gone all in on the green plant until last year. And part of it was because it was a one-man show and I just didn't have enough help. Yeah. So I was like, hell, at this point, I ain't got a choice. It's time to plant. So I'm just planting. And I did a lot of cover crop. I mean, it's funny. I tell some people, man, like there was a few fields. I'm like, God, please let these beans come up. Because I was planting some stuff that was like 4 foot tall. And
we've been there.
It's scary.
It is. And I've told some other people, like I had some people reach out and they're like, how do you do that? And I said, well, honestly, one, I was running a lot of downforce because I got pneumatic downforce. So there was some hill ground there. I said, I was running 200 pounds of downforce just to get them through the ground. But I said, honestly, you got to set it where you think is right on the depth and leave it alone because it never fails, man. I'd get off and I'd check and it'd be perfect. I'd be checking the depth. It'd be perfect. And then it'd be some beans on top of the ground here. And I'm like, crap. But if you go to tweaking it, next thing I know, I'll have beans 4 inches deep in the dirt. So, but the issue I ran into was some chemical problems behind it. I was coming back, I would plant, and then I was burning down right behind the planter. I would usually plant for 2 days and then spray, plant for 2 days. But I had, I think, too much residual on a couple of fields because, man, I had some fields. I had the one that I'm losing the solar panels. It cut 71 bushel, which was really good for me. And I planted into weeds. People were like, what are you doing? Like, it wasn't even cover crop out there. It was just weeds. But they did great. But I had another field. It averaged 21 bushel. And we were figuring those beans, it was so much residual down that they came up and we had kind of a splashing rain.
Yeah.
And it just cut them in half pretty much. But so do y'all, how did the planting green thing, I mean, have you seen any issues with that?
Oh Lord,
God.
yes.
Yeah.
We could,
every issue that everybody's complaining about says why they don't plant green anymore.
We've had it.
We've experienced, but you gotta you gotta go in with a mindset that for every problem there is a solution.
Yeah.
You just gotta find it. I mean, my first 3 years of planting green, I mean, we had some disasters.
Let's talk about how many times
disasters.
Like the vetch got out of hand.
Yeah.
And
Like the first time I said I'm going to plant green was 2015. Corn and soybeans went along perfectly. I mean, you're planting deeper. The cover crop was, maybe this high at that point.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's working pretty good. I know what I'm doing here.
yeah.
So anyway, then about 3 weeks later, it's time to plant cotton. Well, this cover crop that was this. Well, now it's at the hood of the tractor, and like, all right, well, I got a good Kinsey planter. I know, put it in the ground. I pulled in there, set that thing down, started planting cotton. I didn't make it 30 feet, and everything on that planter was locked up tight from it wrapping up.
Yeah.
And man, we had 500 acres of cotton to plant, and I mean, all day, every day, I was adjusting this, I was adjusting that. I was taking this off the planter, putting this on the planter, and just really nothing. I wasn't set up to do it.
Yeah.
I didn't know that at the time.
I mean, we had a field, no joke, because it rained and then we couldn't get into it, and then it rained again and then couldn't get into it. It was over 8 foot tall, and it was right on the road, right by where everybody drives by. And I'm like, oh my God, we're so screwed.
And finally, after about 5 days of that, and I think I'd planted half a crop, 250 acres, I'm like, this ain't going to work. I got to do something different to get the cotton planted. So I visited Dave Brant, God rest his soul, the soil health guru in Carroll, Ohio, and I knew that he sold roller crimpers. Like nobody in Tennessee even knew what a roller crimper was. Nobody had ever seen one. I knew he sold them. I called him up at like noon. Like, I need a roller crimper. I need it now. Do you have one? Yeah, I've got a 20-foot here now. I'm hooking up the trailer. GPS shows I'll be there about 10 o'clock. Well, can you load me up? Yeah, I'll be here. Beeline to Carroll, Ohio. Got up there like 10, 11 o'clock. They loaded me up, turned right back around, drove right back home.
Totally illegal, by the way.
I don't remember how many. I think it's like 800 miles maybe. But, up there. But anyway, got back home at 7 o'clock that morning. Got it unloaded off the trailer, and we were crimping and planting cotton by 9 o'clock that morning.
Yeah. Golly, man. Well,
so we've had, trust me, we've had our
I've had stand problems. I've had stuff come up, and then is either a slugs or a 3/4
slugs got me one year.
Yeah, I mean, every year. Well, even now, we're still learning a lesson every year, but we are now set up to handle just about any situation that can pop up. I say that, and then this year we're going to have a freaking disaster.
Any issue that can pop up so far.
Yeah.
And that's why I say you gotta be quiet because she can hear you. Mother Nature's like, oh, really? Let's give you this year.
She is, yes. I had slugs wipe out a whole bean crop on me, I think. That was the only thing we could figure.
See, as a cattleman, I don't know anything about this. Like slugs? Slugs really get you?
Yes. They're awful.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Because that's what I had some beans come up, and I planted them green, had them come up, and then they didn't get real big, and then I went back out there, and it was just nothing.
Did you have an insecticide seed treatment or spray an insecticide at planting?
No.
Okay. Well, that's the cause, because the slugs
there might have been a treatment.
Oh, that's what I'm talking. Seed surgery.
Yeah.
The slugs feed on the plant. The insecticide doesn't kill them, but the predators, the beetles and stuff, they feed on the slug, and then it kills the predators. Then you got no competition out there, and they wipe your crop out.
Yeah.
I mean,
these chemicals that everybody says we need to apply, I mean, they can really affect the system.
So do you not put an insecticide treatment down on your seed?
Soybeans, I don't. Wheat, I don't. I'm kind of forced to with corn and cotton because it comes in the bag that way.
Yeah.
But if I had the option, no, I wouldn't put an insecticide out. I don't need it. It's only going to hurt me in my system. Plus,
do you spray over the top any insecticide?
Not at planting.
Yeah.
I mean, now once the crop is up, I mean, obviously then we got started treating for insects then, but not at planting. And that's been preached here in Tennessee for decades. No till. You got to spray a pyrethroid for cutworms.
Yeah.
You wiping out your beneficials.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That is pretty interesting. And actually it makes sense how, I mean, if you don't take them out, then the predatory system of nature will kind of almost handle itself, really.
Yeah. I mean, God created a great, perfect system, and we we're trying to meddle in it. We're trying to change it and affect it, but it's already great as it is. You got to learn to work with it, not work against it.
Right.
Because if you try to work against it, you're going to fail against Mother Nature every single time.
Yeah.
Every time. I mean, I tell people all the time, like, look, you know, we've got gravel out here, but then all of a sudden we spill a little bit of corn seed, and next thing you know, the corn's coming up. And one year I was like, oh, look, I can grow corn in my gravel yard, and I can't grow it out in the field. That's just great. It's like nature is always going to find a way.
Oh yeah.
There's pigweed growing in every side ditch, every gravel lot.
Nature found a way.
Nature found a way.
Dad and I, we'll laugh about. You can plant soybeans. We'll plant them perfect, and you get like a moderate stand, and then you'll have some that spill out on the ground, and it'll be like a ton of soybeans coming up. And he's like,
no, it'll come up, or it'll come up the next spring.
Yeah. That's what Dad's like. Them stupid things. He's like, they're coming up on top of the dang ground, and we try to plant them, they won't come up. Like, so yeah, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, Mother Nature's going to win every time.
Yeah. What is that, like Jurassic Park? Mother Nature or Nature finds a way.
Nature finds a way, but it does. It's the truth.
It does. It really does.
Finds a way.
Yeah, it does. Well, you got anything else? We're running out of time, but
I didn't know we had a time limit.
Well, I don't guess we technically do, but we try to keep it around an hour, a little around there.
We never keep it.
We can always have a part 2 sometime.
Well, I was gonna say, hopefully we can get y'all back here.
Oh, yeah.
And we can nerd out way more because I think we just scratched the surface.
I had a bunch of questions. I'm like, I'm just gonna skip over that question.
Well, and
going down another path.
Well, and my thing too is, you know, touching on the whole YouTube thing. Like you said, you watch people out there that, you know, are sponsored and paid for, and it's been that way for years. Like we've talked to these people. We've had companies like fly us out, thinking they could buy us and purchase us, and we're like, no, you know, like we're not doing that. I think now we've gotten comfortable and we've turned down people and said,
do they give you like requirements or something? Like,
it's a stupid amount of requirements.
Really? What's an example? I'm curious.
So I talked to a good friend of mine that he's got a lot of subscribers, and he has, you know, back and forth with companies. And he's like, I'm living and I'm learning. And I'm grateful he tells us, because a lot of people won't.
Yeah.
But there are contracts out there that say, okay, you need to make 4 videos a month. Those 4 videos need to be at least 10,000 views. And if it doesn't make 10,000 views, you owe us money.
Well, how do you dictate that?
You can't dictate that. That's the problem.
Wow.
So now it's getting to a point where a lot of these people are saying, okay, we're just going to have a straight contract. Yeah. And that's what I've been talking to. I like to tell everybody I'm like the PR behind everything.
Well, you know, I joked about the sponsorship earlier. I have absolutely no desire to be sponsored, because I don't want to be controlled by anybody. I want to be able to speak my mind. You know, my integrity and people believing what I say is more important to me than any amount of money. Yeah. Now, I'm not against working with companies to feature a product, especially a product I believe in, or to test out a product, just like with the Borgo air seeder last year. You know, they approached us about doing a demo and featuring it on YouTube, and I'm like, well, in my mind, I've got I think we can do this many videos covering these specific topics, and that's what we wound up doing. But I was like, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. What my opinion is going to be what it is, and that's the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of companies now are going towards that, because I've been talking to people, and they want to work with the smaller farmers, because honestly, YouTube is now nothing built other than small farmers. Yeah. The bigger guys, bless them. Like I know them all, and they've had their ups and downs, but I think companies now are realizing we are where it's at, because we talk to each other. Yeah. And so now we don't say we're sponsored, we partner with people. Yeah. Just like we're partnered with Acres TV. Yeah. And, you know, we're going to partner possibly with 2 other companies. And our big thing is, and I told Matt, I don't want to go after corporations. I want to go after the family owned companies. And, you know, I've told him, this is our platform. Our platform is that we could offer you this and this and this, and people take what we have to say with a grain of salt, because we're going to trust you. We're going to be open and honest about it. Yep. I'm not going to be it's not a positive and a negative. You're going to have a positive and a positive negative. Like, you know what? Like Matt has said, you know, this work, this ain't going to work for me. Yeah. But then there's a guy in Arkansas who goes, man, that could totally work for me. Yeah. that guy calls Borgo and says, hey, I want that air seeder.
Yeah.
I mean,
we had another company approach us about trying their product, and it was a small product. And I was like, well, what exactly do you want us to do? I was like, we'll give you the product and you try it out and you talk about on YouTube how you do it. And then they sent me another list of requirements, like they wanted to be this product placement to be this long, and then they wanted to preview what I was going to put out. And I said, I said, look, I'll be honest with you. Everybody we work with, I want you to do good.
Yeah.
I want to see, if you got a good product, trust me, everybody will know. But if, on the other hand, if you got a bad product, they're going to know too. You're not going to preview anything.
Yes.
If you want us to do this, we're going to be honest about it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people now, like we have friends that, a good friend of mine, she's in the hay business, and she said, hey, I'm going to be open and honest about this. I'm going to tell you what is awful and what is great about it.
Yeah.
And because of her honesty, she sold 21 balers.
Dang,
21 balers and in another country.
Yeah.
So they looked at her like, oh, we've got something going on over here. And, she just kind of looked at me like, wait a minute, because I was open and honest and, followed what you said, it worked. I said, yeah, absolutely.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, people today, people can see past the guy that every week he's like, guys, you need to check out this new product, like does this like marketing run every week. And that's, and Bobby Lee and I have done the same. Like, there's several, we look at other podcasts in our arena and kind of see how we compare. And and I'll toot, I like to toot our own horn a little bit sometimes. Like, we're rising pretty fast, and we're kind of, it fits our style. Our name of the show is Talk Dirt to Me, so I feel like it's kind of a little edgy. You
got a Y in there somewhere, it means something totally different.
Sometimes we might throw something in there, but like I mentioned, Bobby Lee wants to be sponsored by Astro Lube or whatever it is.
Hey, you never know. It can work for all kinds of things.
That's right.
You're in the cattle business. Doesn't that
he
hurt?
could put it on his arm, he goes up in there.
You got a sleeve on, some good lube.
It's good.
It is, but that's the thing with Ag Zaga, like with them. That's one thing. The dude, he came on the show. I'm sure I made crude remarks. I probably say things I shouldn't sometimes, but he didn't care. They don't care. They know how we are.
That's what I say. Yeah, they've been great because, and they're a smaller company.
Yeah,
and that's why.
Now, and they have been in the ag industry for a long time, but as the Ag Zaga part of it is relatively new. Yeah, they like, that's one thing we're like, like they don't care what we say.
Yeah, and that's because for me, coming especially from the row crop side, I've run John Deere tractors, combines. In my head, I'm like, man, if we could get a John Deere, but I'm thinking, but if we got John Deere, more than likely they'd be like, hey man, we're gonna need y'all to tone it down.
You're bought and paid for.
Yeah, every now and then we've got some episodes I'm like, ooh, that would not fly well with the corporate world.
About 2 episodes ago, I think I named it, they might cancel us for this.
I totally listened to that. I was like, this is great. This is great. But that's the thing, and that's what we're trying to preach is, like you had said today on Instagram, is people don't show the negative side of farming.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Like you have to show the negative because after the show, the whole point of us doing the TV show was to be relatable. I want to be relatable to everyone else that we are a family farm that puts the dis and dysfunctional. That is my tagline. We put the dis and dysfunctional.
Yeah.
But this is a lifestyle that I would not change for the world. And I tell everyone, I chose this. I chose to marry him. I chose to quit my job, chose to work with him.
Yeah.
And it means a lot to me to be out there with these companies saying, look, not saying we need to stick it to the man, but we do.
Yeah.
Like you see all these big companies and they're like, well, what can you do for me? We've been talking to one company and in the end they were like, well, unless you buy this, forget it. We want to work with you. And I'm like, I don't have $500,000.
Yeah.
And then the smaller ones are like, yeah, we could totally work with you. Yeah, I think so. And, and that's where we're at. It's finding the small mom and pop things and really, helping them out.
We've had more luck both with YouTube channel and with the podcast. It's just, you find those more, the smaller companies, the up and coming ones, we're taking a risk on them. They're taking a risk on us kind of thing. And that's where, not that we have $1 million sponsorships anywhere, but or even close to it, but that's worked out better.
Well,
for
and
us.
it's a thing. It's a partnership.
Yeah.
Like I
Rising
keep,
tides rise all ships. That's kind of how I look at it.
well, and I tell people like I'm not a farm wife. He's not a farm husband. We're farm partners.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm preaching to these companies when I talk to him is, look, we're partners.
Yeah.
I want to help you and you want to help me, and let's make, the smaller farms better again. This is where you need to be. And surprisingly, we were preaching that a couple years ago, and they looked at us like, whatever, you ain't got subscribers. And now it's like, okay, we'll work with you. And I'm like, all right, this is great.
Yeah.
What's most important to me is producing content that 20 years from now I can look back and say, I'm proud I made that video. It served a purpose. We're comfortable where we're at. We're living comfortably. I'm not looking to make it big or get all this brand new equipment or make lots of money or anything like that. I'm comfortable where we're at. If an opportunity comes along that to maybe use a piece of equipment or make an extra dollar, I mean, fine, but we're not hunting it. And if it never comes, I'll be just fine with that.
Yeah.
That's too, like with YouTube and all that. I enjoy doing it, but I never know. The video I've got that's going to drop tomorrow might be my last one.
Oh, we've got one that
if I just decide
you're done.
Because all the time I think, God, this is, not having to take a camera and talk to it when I'm on a tractor, and then not having to come home and edit a video.
The darn thing.
Like,
editing is the worst.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm like, well, I wake up the next day, I'm like, all right, I'll do it. This is gonna be good content. I'll film this, and so I'm not beholden to it because I ain't getting rich off of it for sure.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Editing is the worst. I hate editing with passion.
I mean, if I didn't work 12 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week, I wouldn't mind editing.
Yes. Yeah.
When I don't have an opportunity to literally turn on my TV for an entire month because I'm either working or editing, I'm like, why am I doing this?
Oh, and there's some days I'm like, you realize we exist over here? Like, I mean, it's gotten us into fights.
Oh yeah, she finally accepted it. But
now we have like stipulations. I'm like, look, there is dinner on this table, and I cooked it, and I worked with you all day long. You need to come right now. And he's like, okay, 30 minutes, not now.
Yeah,
this is how we're doing it.
But like every time I get to that point, like I need to take a break. I can't do this. I can't spend this amount of time. We get a certain comment that really hits close to me, like last fall I got a comment from a guy in some country in Africa. Don't remember the country, maybe it's Ghana, but he's like, I really appreciate what you're talking about in soil health because it's really helped our community because we don't have access to that type of information over here. It's really helped us improve our farming. Now I'm sure he was watching it by watching the Google Translate subtitles, and I hope he got accurate information because I got this southern voice that Google don't understand sometimes. But it's comments like that. Like, I mean, it's just not our community or in the United States. Like, there's people overseas that don't have access to this know-how that really need the help, and they happen to find our channel and it's helping out their community. I'm like, well, it's that kind of stuff that really, really keeps us going and drives us.
I mean, that should be like with you too. I mean, you should do it because you never know that there's somebody else in another country that's wanting to start cattle up, and they're like,
people in other countries want his wife to castrate them.
Yeah, most of my comments from overseas are on the video of my wife castrating bulls. And it gets.
Indian men.
I have to go into Google Translate to figure out what they're typing. I'm like, oh. Yeah, it's like something.
Look, times are tough, okay? I will support her if she needs to just,
it loosely translates to like, I would like for her to do that to me. And I'm like, did you know she just castrated this bull?
Yeah, literally. Like, some men said they wanted her to castrate.
That was our first video that really took off. And I think it was all due to the overseas audience.
Probably.
That really liked my wife.
They were all Indian. Wasn't it a bunch of Indians, like India?
That they get me on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I've met a few of them that are great, but then like,
Portugal got big for a little while. I'm like, why are we Portugal? Why are we big in Portugal?
The ones Brazil. That get me, like I look at our breakdowns of this podcast, and we got some Russians that tune in. I'm like, I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Like, I'm not sure.
We need them on our side right now.
Yeah. And we did have, I think, one Chinese. What is the China thing
I'm
even
surprised
called?
they can even get through the.
I know. Well, they probably killed him after he listened to the show. The government probably executed him in the streets. But yeah, it is. I think I think it's a good thing, and that's how like my YouTube, like Bobby Lee crushed his YouTube. Because he started the podcast is where I kind of found myself, and I would real sporadically post a YouTube video, and it would get some views. But to gain any traction, you got to be consistent, and that's what Bobby Lee was super consistent. So he built a good audience, and so now my challenge myself this year is consistency, and so I'm just consistently uploading, and I'm the same because right now my views will be low. But I have a guy, his name's Sinclair, and he wrote like 2 weeks ago, and he was like, "Hey man, you put up a video," and I was breaking down one of the loans, like the beginning farmer loan, how to do it, and he was like, "Man, because of your video, I bought my first tractor, and I'm doing this." And he's like, "Man, I love the videos." And I'm like, "Man, if I get one view and it's that dude that it's done help, then it makes it worth it."
Oh, it's 100%.
And we post a video, religiously every 3 days. I think there was 3 times last year that I went 4 days in between the video, and it gets tiring. There's people that we release it at noon every day. There's people that look forward to it on their lunch break.
Yeah,
and they comment in their lunch. I knew they reply on the comment like, "I knew it was coming out today. This is what I look forward to watching on my lunch break."
That's great.
I know, but I'm
awesome.
like, that's also kind of creepy. I'm just saying
that, but it's cool though.
You remember the day before DVR? You knew that Family Matters came on at 7 o'clock on a Friday night, and you was going to be in front of that TV for it.
Yeah.
But I just look at it like we're just like everyone else. I've had people come up to us when we did our first meet and greet, and actually the company really loved us. They're like, "Hey, we want you back next year." And we're like, okay. We've always joked around about people with their meet and greets.
Yeah.
But we do it differently. We want people to just ask us questions and tell our story and feel relatable. And, at first, like the YouTube channel had like 98% men. It was 2% women. And it was just attack on me every 5 minutes. Now we're like at what? 14% women. I'm like, yes,
hey, there you
go. Calm your horses. Well, we might get lucky at 12%.
Okay, maybe 12%. And it's probably all of my friends.
Yeah, I always joke in videos to the gentlemen and the 4 ladies that watch us.
Wait a second. This is 2024. Why are we gendering anybody?
That's true. We're assuming their gender.
Excuse me.
Because YouTube doesn't have an undeclared box under the statistics part, so we don't know.
How dare they?
Cancel Google.
There should be a non-binary.
You have to understand, though. We are the farm that has every color. We have gray, yellow, blue, green, red,
rusty.
We have every color. We are diverse.
Yeah.
We're doing what the government tells us to do. We're being diverse. We've hired diversity. I am a woman, so there we go.
There you go. Yep.
It
kind of, you just have to joke around about it, but
there's no equipment racism.
No, absolutely not.
Only diversity.
And when people see us, they're like, wait a minute, they have what is that aluminum header doing on there? We're like, hello. It's just, you have to be the people that change the dynamic. And I had women come up to me and say, "I only watch just so you're on." I'm like, well, then you need to skip January and February because I'm not gonna be on there. But they tell me, thank you for doing that because it makes me feel like I'm not alone.
Yeah.
And that was my whole reason of doing social media, was to find my people.
Yeah.
And I found my people, and they're all over. They're from Oregon, California, Canada, Australia.
Yeah.
And like Kayla, I never would have met her unless it was for Instagram. So, being in West Tennessee, only being like one of 2 female farmers.
Yeah.
It's hard. Life is hard. This, like we had said, we talk about the mental health stuff. This is a lonely lifestyle.
Yeah.
And
it is.
for me, because, he's the introvert, clearly. And I'm like the extrovert who has to be around people.
Yeah.
I have like deep depression.
Well, see, I'm very extroverted. And see, and I'm by myself. Like all the time, because a lot of times, like I said, I'm a one-man show.
Myself.
I'll talk to myself in the sprayer all the time.
I do. I go out there and talk to the crops. And people are like, what's wrong with you?
Like my perfect day is I get in the tractor, don't turn the radio on, my phone does not ring all day long.
Oh man, I don't even know what that's like.
So I'm an introvert, and like my day job is I have to interact with people all day long. my wife gives me so much help. She's the extrovert. She's like, why did you choose that job? I'm like, well. Like for the most part, I get good feedback. Like my clients really like me. Like I put on a good face.
He pretends to like talking to people.
That's basically my life for 8 hours every day. And I'll leave a room with a client. I'm like, damn, I'm glad I got that over. and even when it's a good interaction, that's just the life as an introvert.
You know what I figured out? Like I don't mind talking to people. I don't mind talking about subjects. I absolutely despise small talk when you both know that you really don't care what the other person's saying, but you feel socially obligated to make conversation.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
that is terrible. Yeah. Well, that's why, and that's why when I ran into Kaylin at the Gin show, Bobby Lee's wife, we ended up. And I see Kaylin, but we ended up standing there talking for 20 minutes because we're both extroverts.
I would have been right there with you.
Yeah,
she would have made it 30 minutes.
You know what? My talking has got us very far, so thank you.
Yeah.
I know, and people ask all the time, like, how can you work with your husband and you guys are completely opposite people? It just does.
Opposites attract.
I was gonna say, I feel like that's probably kind of how.
Yeah, I think that's probably ideal.
My wife is the introvert of us. She's very much introverted. Yeah, she tells me, she's like, you could talk to a brick wall. Like and I'm like, sometimes I do.
What have you said about me? Kelly can make friends with a tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, even when the tree's eyes glaze over.
Yeah.
My wife gets mad because I get home because I'm just zapped because I've been talking to people all day long. And we can go like 3 hours. And I feel like we're having great interaction, but like I'm not talking to her. Like we're just cooking dinner and taking care of kids.
I'm comfortable with silence.
And she's like,
I'm not. What's wrong with you?
No,
Me neither. I don't like
obviously from the car ride down here.
You know what? Us extra. We need like a support group.
We
We'll
do.
stick them in a window. Be like, hey,
they
you
can
guys
just
go over
sit
here.
there.
We're good.
They just sit there, not speak. Like, that was a great time we had.
We had a great time and they didn't say anything.
My wife's like, I'm like, we're still having a good interaction even though we're not talking. Like,
Does that sound familiar?
Not to her. Not to her.
That sounds 100% familiar.
Anyway.
Well, on a lot of our guest episodes, one of the things we've done, we like to highlight an American-made company or product or something. So I feel like we're going to put you on the spot. Is there anything? Cue up our commander in chief first.
Anything made in the USA.
Yeah, that you use that you'd put your stamp of approval on. But before you share it, we got to do our lead in here.
Well, I mean,
we still haven't put it on the board. I'll probably who knows.
Favorite president ever.
Most popular of all time.
Let me start off with 2 words. Made in America.
He's the man. He is the man.
Well, it looks like he might be the man come November. We'll just have to wait and find out.
Man.
I don't know. I don't think it'll be him. I have no idea who
it's going to be. Michelle Obama. So I bet you it ends up being Michelle.
Well, it will be him.
It will be him. Yeah, Michael Obama. Yeah, it's very true.
No, we're not going down that rabbit hole.
What's
America?
What's your product company that you give a shout out to?
Oh, there's one product out there. I mean, the hot topic in agriculture, at least row crop agriculture, is biologicals.
Yeah,
and I've talked out against a lot of biologicals. These $15 to $25 an acre claims of 3 to 5 bushels guaranteed, and they might work in certain situations, but nothing's guaranteed. But there's a product that I tested for 4 years before I started using it, and now we've been using it on all of our corn acres anyway for 4 years. But it's a biological called Micronoc Soil Health Amendment. It's made by Sonoag in Texas, the great state of Texas, and it cost me, I think, like $4.60 something cents an acre to apply. But 4 years of replicated trials, I saw an average of a 9 bushel an acre increase. Dang. That's about as, and it won 77% of the side by sides. We're certainly not paid by them. Yeah. We've never even received any product free. I pay the same price everybody else does, but I'm a really big believer in that product. It's worked great for us. Might not work for you, but it has worked great for us.
Okay. And that's what you said, Micronoc Soil Health Amendment made by Sonoag. You can go to sonoagfertilizer.com and
there it is,
find more about it.
I think they're made. I think they're out of Texas.
Yeah, Texas.
Gotcha.
Texas.
Yeah. Real small company. Been in business a long time. Great group of people to work with.
Awesome. Well, you guys, y'all go check them out. Matt and Kelly, had a great time having you on the show.
It was fun. We're definitely have to come back.
I was gonna say we will have to do a part 2.
We have to do like a PG-13 one though.
Yeah. Oh wait, Bobby Lee might go R-rated. You never know about this guy over here.
Wait, we can do the late night Cinemax version.
Yeah. After dark. Yeah. Talk dirt after dark. With a little warning up there.
I've seen some ag channels that have on YouTube have the After Dark channel.
We're like After Dark.
Hey, you can put the Y in there for that title though.
Yeah.
In
That's
parentheses.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Hey, we're like borderline R-rated a lot of times, so we don't have an after
we
dark.
went way off the rails a couple weeks. I don't even know what.
I think
We
it was
didn't have a topic. There was a lot of alcohol and
I was feeling pretty good by the time we got done. That's why I even bleeped out a segment of something that I said because like I might be pushing the envelope.
I got several text messages. People like, what did Logan say?
Well, and I did a little on purpose. I was like, I could clip that out and not put anything, but I was like, I feel like it'd add a little more suspense if I put
wasn't
the
as bad.
bleep in there.
Yeah, you made it seem worse.
Because as soon as I bleep it and then the bleep stops, you're like, my God, Logan. So it was like perfect.
Yeah.
So
we need to have one more of those.
we will for sure. Before we close, we're about to go grab something to eat. But before we wrap up, you want to chat about our site one more? We gave them a good shout out during the show.
Exotic.com, right? Like we said, they've never said you can't talk about this or that or whatever.
Yeah, they've never been offended.
They've been a great company, small business, right across the river from us over in Missouri. Discount code Talk Dirt, all caps, all one word. It is 10% off. It is still shipping.
Free shipping.
We're just going to assume the free shipping is perpetual. Jared can't take it away from us now because
that's
he's
right.
told everybody about it. But the bail net wrap's a big thing. The twine, whatever you need, the tools, the toolboxes, the clothes, whatever. If you need something, go check with them first. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it.
That's right. Well, tell them everybody where they can watch your show and follow y'all and see what's going on.
Like I say, we're on YouTube. We also have accounts on Facebook, Instagram. She dabbles a little bit in TikTok. Don't do Twitter. Just search for Griggs Farms LLC. You'll find out all about us. And I also got to throw out a plug for our online store, our shirts, hats, merchandise. Go to www.farmmerchbin.com. You can see the Griggs Farms link. Click on it. We got all different types of merchandise there. It's made by another small family-owned business about 45 minutes up the road. They actually make the products in-house and ship it out. Also got other YouTubers, local YouTubers on there. Dylan Joyce Farms, Chronicles of Kayla, Thomas Farms TN, and I think a couple others. So not only will you be supporting us locally, you'll be supporting that local family-owned store.
That's awesome, guys. Well, we definitely encourage you to follow them. You never know what you see. You might see a combine wreck, or you might see some good cover crop stuff.
Good, not again, please no. Combine jumping is expensive.
Yeah,
okay?
No, I'm not saying again, but you can search them. But
if you can find your way through the 557 videos we put out, I guarantee you will find something that interests you. We tried to create playlists according to topic or season to kind of help navigate some of that. So we got a lot of stuff on there. There's something for everybody.
I'm terrible at doing the playlist.
I do a little bit.
Y'all do a lot of. We didn't even get into lots of the drone spraying and
I know. Well, that's
cover crops. And,
part two.
We're gonna have a part two.
There we go.
All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you,
guys. We'll catch you next week.